Welcome to Season 7 of Live Vedanta, where we are sharing insights on courageous caregiving through Vibhishana Gita, prioritizing our goals and redirecting our limited time and effort towards the people and activities that help us grow comes with a lot of self-reflection. And that's exactly what this episode will focus on. Let's tune in.
Hari Om, and greetings from Niagara Falls. Whenever you read articles about parenting, whenever you listen to podcasts about parenting, and I know you all do, in the article, they will share feelings that some parents are going through. In the podcast, they'll reference that this person said this. Can you share with me in the chat, what are some of those feelings or feedback that parents give for such articles and podcasts? I hope I'm not being too abstract. Yes, there we go. Every parent seems exhausted. I'm going through that too. Anxious. Two that I have noticed that are very common in articles and podcasts. The first is feeling perpetually behind. I'm always behind on cleaning, on exercising, on organizing, on communicating, perpetually behind. How many of you feel that you're perpetually behind? By a show of hands. Okay, so that's accurate then. Next is that parents feel what they're doing is always wrong. What they're feeding their kids or how their kids talk back to them, relationships with in-laws, they feel they're always going in the wrong way. How many of you feel the same way? Okay, so perpetually behind, always wrong. Those are awful positions to be in. And with that then comes so much pressure. And that's why we have parenting culture for all of this pressure to be released. You being in this space, us looking at each other, is proof that you're not perpetually behind. You created the time to be in a self-development community, and you're not always wrong. This is the right action with the right attitude. So just release all of that pressure. If you have a young child who's throwing a tantrum, sometimes you tell them to just breathe. We have to remind ourselves sometimes to just breathe too. Some of the qualities that we've been exploring to be a courageous parent, to follow through with rightness, has been Shila. Shila means nobility. When I was reviewing this last week, I specifically read the reflection and the application. But when I went back through my discourse, I actually read the wrong reflection and application. How many of you realized I read the wrong one? See, I can teach whatever I want right now. This is contained in the Brahma Sutra. It says that parents are no good. You have a workbook, follow the workbook. I actually read the reflection and application, not from Sheila, but Viveka. And as I thought about it more, it's because I'm that self-absorbed. Even when it comes to Sheila, I'm still reading about Viveka. I'm going to read the reflection and application for Sheila now, because it's great. What qualities in my adult self would my child self admire or look up to? I want you to answer this. I'll read it more slowly. What qualities in my adult self would my child self admire or look up to? Please try to share what that would be. Go back to when you were 10, 15. Now you're 45, 50. What would you admire? How hardworking you are. How perseverant you are. Good, good. That you are investing in self-development. That's a very good one. Okay, I'm going to go to the application now. Think about the positive role models from your childhood. Select one person you admired and keep a picture of that person on your desk or screensaver. So now I'm checking in with all of you. Other than your kids, who else do you keep photographs of near you? Who else do you have photographs of? Whether it's at your desk or your screensaver. Yourself. Yes. Your guide, your divinity. Sure, sure. Your parents. Great. See my point? You are a courageous parent. You are following through. This is your reflection and application. You're already doing it. Another quality that we've been exploring to be more courageous is bala. Bala in English is stamina. When I was growing up in Niagara Falls, we didn't have access to a lot of culture. We didn't have Balavera classes. We didn't have young adult forums. So my parents put my sisters and I in every public camp that was possible. We lived at the YMCA. We lived at the Boys and Girls Club. So I got into athletics a lot. Recently, someone had asked me, Vivekji, do you engage in asana? And I smiled to myself, no way. I like to jog and run and expand my lungs. And that's my personality type. That's the vasana that's been created. And so whenever I do organize retreats or teach in high school camps, there are athletics. And it's stunning to me, specifically with high school students, how little stamina they have. After 20 minutes, Vivekji, when's halftime? Halftime? There's no halftime. We need water, we need food, and so on. Such little stamina. And I think part of it is because their parents are not investing in that. So what I'm trying to share is that my parents accidentally invested in my physical stamina by putting me in all of these camps. And so if we want our children to have stamina, we also have to invest in this. And this physical stamina naturally evolves to mental stamina. As caregivers, sometimes, often, we just have to let our kids struggle so they learn to be independent. Every time they want water, you don't have to give it to them right away. Every time they're hangry, you don't have to appease them on their terms. Let them struggle, because through that, they will become more independent. Our initiative circle had emailed me asking to meet me, and I suggested sometimes. Now, we had been traveling for 5 days, so I was lying down with our children, and I get a text message, and nobody texts me because they know they're not going to get a response. So I thought maybe this was serious, so I looked at it, and it was asking me if I'm going to join whatever meeting. And so my response was, in capitals, for what? Are you doing this meeting for what? So finally, I went down to that meeting, and I had asked everyone about, did I confirm this meeting? And nobody said anything. So in their own minds, they confirmed this meeting without confirming with me. But I appreciated that they had facilitated this meeting without me. Without me. Why do I have to be part of every meeting? Why do I have to make every decision? Correct. This is how scaling happens. This is how independence happens. So for you to think about this example in your own home. Sheila was the last flag. Mbala is the first horse. We now continue to the second horse in our chariot of courage. The second horse is Viveka. That's in the Avadi language. In Sanskrit, Viveka. In English, tell me in the chat what Viveka means. Insight. That is a good definition. Now you're all quickly going to the workbook, yes, to get that definition. I know you're writing discriminate, but there's a lot of new people here, and here you're openly insulting me. My name is Vivek. Let me give you 2 stories about this, then I will teach you something. Let me give you 2 stories pertaining to this first. When we were living in the ashram, near the end of the course, we were sort of trained in public speaking. First, we had to write what we're going to speak, then speak for 5 minutes, and eventually we had to give 15-minute discourses on certain qualities from the Bhagavad Gita. So imagine this big man there, Pujaswami Tejomanan is sitting here, like where I'm sitting, let's say, and then he randomly calls people to speak on random subjects. So he had called me. So I super nervously walked to that mic because, speaking in front of people who don't know that much is easy. This is me openly insulting you now. But to speak in front of someone who knows everything is super intimidating. So I'm speaking, and at one point I shared, wherever there's Viveka, there's no problems. And I was just trying to joke around, my name's Vivek. And he just looked down at me and and went like that. Here's the second story. I believe it was 5 or 6 years ago that there was a mass shooting in Pittsburgh at a synagogue. It was called the Tree of Life Synagogue. A little while after that, a mandir in Pittsburgh, which all of you have been to, it's the second mandir in North America, they had organized a interfaith, not a forum, but more of a healing, an interfaith healing. So this whole auditorium was filled with lots of people, lots of religious leaders. And I was asked to be the last speaker to connect everyone's thoughts, the keynote speaker. So the MCs are introducing me, and the last thing they share is, truly, Acharya Vivek lives up to his name as the one who discriminates. They're saying this in front of all of the rabbis and the priests and the people of different religions. So I'm on stage kind of walking when they're saying this. So I just look down and kind of get to the mic. Vivek means prioritization, not discrimination. So Vivek means to prioritize what is important. Nobody here needs any sense of training in intellectually knowing what's important. We know going to the gym is important. We know speaking kindly is important. We know looking after ourselves is important. We know being patient with our parents is important. Everybody here knows what's important intellectually. Viveka is investing in that which is important. That way you follow through with it. You live by this. It is not an intellectual game. It is about following through. Pujaswami Tejomayananda had shared about values. Only the values you value will you cultivate. We don't cultivate all values. Only values we value we cultivate. Tell me in the chat a value that you don't value. What is a value that you intellectually know about, but you don't actually value? Please share. Patience. You don't value patience? Yes, that's an honest answer. Anger is not a value. I don't know if I'm misspeaking what I'm sharing right now. Unitasking, yes, that is very accurate. Intellectually, we know we're supposed to do it, but in terms of actually valuing unitasking is so different. And that's why you can almost understand what's important to a person based on their lifestyle. You can almost understand. All of you wanting to be better caregivers is obvious. That's why you're here right now. Another person can share, I'm so much into simple living, but they're very materialistic. So do they actually value simple living? They don't. They're materialistic. See, it's how different it is between saying it and actually living like that. In terms of prioritization, when you intellectually acknowledge this is important, one has to be intense about that and indifferent about what you're not intense towards. There has to be a balance between intensity and indifference, like JOMO and FOMO. If I really want to be in this space, I should be intense about it and be indifferent about what I'm missing right now. If the JOMO is strong enough, you don't have FOMO then, correct? But if the JOMO is not strong, you kind of just keep flirting between JOMO and FOMO. What does FOMO stand for? Is there anyone here who doesn't know what FOMO stands for? Is there anyone here who doesn't know what JOMO stands for? The joy of missing out. You have too much FOMO. That's why you don't know what JOMO is. The joy of missing out. Everyone's with me. I'm going to make this more practical now. Viveka in your books does mean to discriminate. However, in terms of practicality, it is prioritization. Whatever values you value, you will cultivate them. Whatever you value, your lifestyle will be oriented towards that. Whatever you value, to be intense about that, and to be indifferent about what you're not investing in, what you're letting go, and so on. Here is how prioritization can come into our lives in a simple, in a practical way. 4 steps. Step number 1, reflect. Reflect in general. Who are you? Are you happy? What is the purpose of your life? In general. Step 2 is to associate. In Sanskrit, that would be satsanga. Because then that reflection in general, in non-specifics, it starts to get lifted. When you are in satsanga, whatever you're reflecting upon, it gets lifted, it becomes clearer, it becomes nuanced. Then step 3 is to reflect again. But this reflection is not in general. This reflection is on, what do I need in my life? Do I need more patience? Do I need more forgiveness? Do I need more exercise? Do I need more friends? Do I need less friends? And then the 4th step is this sort of prioritization, which is to organize, specifically organize your time. Wherever your time is going, that's what you're prioritizing. Wherever your time is not going, you are not prioritizing that. Where your time goes is such a clear sign of what is important to you. Reflect in general. It's almost like warming up a car. but then associate with those people who inspire you, those people who smile more than you do. They will encourage you to reflect on what do you need in your life, and then organize your lifestyle, organize your life so that your time is being directed in that importance more. I do have more to share about this, which I will next week, but here's my final thought. A sign, because you're going to want to know, if I'm practicing this, what is the sign that I'm doing this well? Is you feel less overwhelmed. People who organize their time towards what is important, they feel less overwhelmed. Because they're intense about what's important, they're indifferent about the rest that is happening.
If you enjoyed what you heard or want to learn more, share this episode with a friend or find us online at facebook.com/cmniagara. For those on the journey of self-development, Chinmaya Mission Niagara provides a community forum for seekers to listen, reflect, and contemplate. This podcast is produced by the Young Adults of Chinmaya Mission, an international nonprofit working to transform individuals through the knowledge of Vedanta. Until next time, inspire, love, be.